Hey, horror fans, once again, it is me, the Horror Mizamani G. I hope everyone had a safe and happy Christmas. It's time to review some more horror films. This time, it is The Purge meets Werewolves in Werewolves. Ooh, hee hee hee.
Y'all ready for this?
Hey, horror fans, once again, it is me, the Horror Mizamani. Now, Werewolves is a 2024 American horror film. It was directed by Stephen C. Miller and written by Matthew Kennedy. Now, the film stars Frank Grillo, Katrina Law, Ilfadesh Hedera, and Lou Diamond Phillips. Now, for this film, two scientists tried to stop a mutation that turns people into werewolves after being touched by a supermoon a year ago. Ooh, what? A supermoon? How the hell did that happen? So, horror fans, I'm pretty sure you know that werewolves are my second favorite supernatural creature right after vampires. The sheer thought of a person transforming from their human form into a raging, vicious, and terrifying animal looking to rip apart anyone that they see is quite fascinating to me. I truly do love it. I think because in all the werewolf horror films I've seen, from the Wolfman to the Howling to American Werewolf in London, and of course to the Howling films, just the sheer thought of a person, being a man or a woman, transforming into a feral beast looking to destroy anybody that they see, like I said, it's quite fascinating to me. Not as popular as vampires are when it comes to pop culture. Werewolves have had their fair share of success in the horror genre. Like I said, from the Wolfman to the Howling to American Werewolf in London to Underworld and Dog Soldiers, and of course next year Lee Whannell's upcoming Wolfman. Horror fans have enjoyed seeing many werewolf films in horror. Now, which brings us to American writer-director Stephen C. Miller's latest entry into the subgenre of horror, simply called Werewolves. Now, this is an interesting premise when it comes to werewolves, as Stephen doesn't use the typical supernatural nature when it comes to these awesome creatures. No, nothing about being bitten by a werewolf or having a curse where it comes down to the bloodline. No, he uses something totally different. Now, you see, in this world, we learn that during a supermoon, now that's when a full moon moves closest to Earth, it activated a dormant gene in humans to transform them into werewolves when they are caught in the supermoon's light. Now, this particular event caught everyone by surprise. It destroyed mostly half of the world, and it's like, holy shit, what are we going to do? How can we stop this from happening? Anyone that goes into the moonlight of the supermoon automatically transfer into a werewolf, and it's like this took apart almost all society. So they had to come up with a way to stop this from happening when the next supermoon came up. So when the film starts, it's been a year since that first supermoon appeared, and scientists are now trying to find a cure to prevent people from transforming from werewolves again, as the next supermoon is about to appear. Now, where everybody else is bunkering down, boarding up their doors and windows, putting up security cameras, electrified fences, making sure that not only no moonlight can get in, excuse me, while no moonlight can get in through their houses, but it's also prevent other werewolves from breaking in because people still want to do what they want to do, or people simply just want to transform into werewolves and cause some shit. Now, while all this is going on, we are introduced to Wesley Marshall, one of the scientists tasked in finding a cure, and he's making sure that his sister in law Lucy and her daughter Emma are safe and sound and are well protected in their home. Now, while they're trying to survive the night, he goes to the warehouse where he meets fellow scientists Amy Chen and the head of the project, Dr. Arnada, hoping that they can find a cure before the supermoon rises. Now, after they provide the cure, it seems to work for only about an hour before all hell breaks loose in the warehouse and the werewolves escape from their cages. It looks like everything was fine. It seemed to be working. They weren't transforming. But unfortunately, you knew something bad was going to happen. They start to transform, they break out of the cages, so all hell breaks loose. So, can Wesley and Amy survive the carnage outside? And can Lucy and Emma survive their encounters with the werewolves trying their best to break into their homes? So, that's basically what this movie is about. Now, horror fans, as I stated earlier, this is an interesting premise when it comes to the werewolf mythos using science fiction or science instead of the supernatural way we know werewolves are created. Now, this kind of plays into the Lycan mythos from the Underworld film series, where they were created from a genetic abnormality from their progenitor, William Corvinus. We know that his father, he inherited some type of dormant gene from his father. He gets bit by a wolf. Williams becomes the first werewolf Lycan, and anyone he infects also becomes like him. So that's how the werewolves are created in the Underworld film series. So it's kind of similar to what they're doing here. Now, unlike the Lycans in the werewolf universe, these werewolves in this movie, they can be killed by any conventional means. You don't have to kill them with silver bullets, but they can take a lot of damage, means they can take a lot of gunshots before they can be brought down, but you don't need silver bullets. If you can cut their heads off, then then they'll die. If you pump them full of bullets, you can gut them with a wrench or any type of sharp objects, they'll die. You don't need to just shoot them with a silver bullet. Now, despite this interesting premise that Steven and his team have created here, the film is average at best as it lacks any type of character development and has some lighting issues as well. We'll talk about that later. I mean, the only type of character development we get in this film is from Wesley Marshall, as we learned that his brother Sean, who was a firefighter, was killed during the first werewolf outbreak last year, and now Wesley only has his sister-in-law Lucy and his daughter and her daughter Emma as his family now. We get to see some nice family moments during the beginning of the film before he goes away, and she's still sad about what happened to him. Emma's still sad to what's happened to her father. So we get little character developments between that, but that's kind of it. We don't get anything else in this film. Now, we learned that Amy's husband, Miles, is one of the test subjects for the cure, but that goes nowhere after he turns and escapes. You would think they would play into that aspect of the film. She's trying to cure her husband because he's the one that got that transformed. She wants to make sure he's safe. But unfortunately, when he turns and escapes, that's it. We hear nothing from him at all in the rest of the film. Now, a huge problem that I do have with the film is the terrible lighting that Steven and his team uses. You can barely see anything what's happened onto the screen. I mean, you can't. I mean, you can see stuff, but it's not clear what's happening on the screen, and that's one of the things you can't have is a dull-looking film. I mean, really, nothing jumps out when watching the film. As I stated before, it looks dull and lifeless, not creating the type of atmosphere that you need for a film like this. I mean, if you want to set the tone for a film like this, you should have something that makes it look creepy, eerie, desperate, something that's going to allow the viewer to experience what the people are experiencing in this film. But we don't get that here. I guess because the cinematography is not good, this film does not look good at all. At some point in the film, I'm pretty sure people were getting Purge vibes when watching this film, as I was thinking the same thing. As there's a part of the film that kind of reminds me of the Purge, but instead of, uh, but this uses werewolves instead of allowing people to commit any type of crimes overnight. In this particular film, people are trying to fight. They're trying to fight against the werewolves, also making sure that they don't turn because of any time when the clothes gets, if they are exposed to the supermoon light, then they're going to turn. But that's one of the things I did like about the film because it did remind me of The Purge. Now, the acting is, I guess it's okay. As veteran action star Frank Grillo does his best to try to bring some life into Wesley, but he is hampered by the dull script that Matthew Kennedy has given him. As a matter of fact, I don't think anyone does a good job acting wise because they're hampered by this dull script. And I don't even fault Katrina Law, known better for her roles in the CWDC TV show Arrow from the Arrowverse and currently starring in the hit CBS show NCIS, but she can't do anything with the script as well. Like I said before, we don't get any character development. We don't get to see her trying to find a way to find a cure that's going to save her husband because the script just strictly ignores it. We just see her and Frank trying their best to survive. And then something happens to her, but we don't get any resolution about that as well. And now it seems that most of the budget that Steven was given went to the practical effects of the werewolves because I do like their transformation scenes. They're pretty good. Sort of like a little bit on the campy side right there, but they're better than some of the CGI effects that we've seen. I mean, put it this way: when it comes to this and the Universal, the Wolfman, the Wolfman, I think it was a 2010 film that starred Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins, where they practically used CGI effects, which I thought was terrible, but it did had something that this film doesn't have. Because in this film, there's no blood. There's no gore in this particular film. How can you have a werewolf film that has no blood and gore? Yeah, the Wolfman, the 2010 Wolfman might have used CGI effects in the transformation scenes, but at least we got some blood and gore. You would expect to see that when the werewolves start to attack. Here, we get no blood, very little blood. There's only one scene that happens throughout the entire film where we get a little bit of blood and gore, but nothing. We only get to see the werewolves attack anybody. When we do, we might see a couple of faces ripped off, but that's about it. I mean, to be honest, we saw more gore and blood in those bad Howling sequels than we do here, and those films were terrible. I mean, overall, despite the interesting premise and some, I guess you say, some good acting, Frank Grillo tries his best to do make this film good, but this is a below average werewolf horror film with no real tension or suspense, no real atmosphere, lacks any type of blood and gore, and the ending is lackluster at best. There's a scene that happens towards the end of the film, which I'm not going to review, that sort of see coming when you see the film begins at the end. You see these certain two people are going to fight each other at the end, and when it does happen, you expect something, but it turns out to be really nothing at all. So what are you going to do? So I'm going to give Werewolves only 1.5 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. Like I said, very interesting premise. Some okay practical effects with the werewolf transformation. Frank Grillo tries his best to do some good, but the film falls flat with his lackluster script, no character development, no gore, no blood. Uh, he tried. That's all you can say. And there you have it, guys. That is my video and review of Werewolves. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, like, and share. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Have you seen Werewolves? What you thought about the film? Leave your comments in your comment section below. Too. You thought about Werewolves? Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. That way, you'll be notified anytime when I put a new video such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember that horror rules. And I see you in my next video. You guys stay safe out there.